I've talked about Justice League Dark a few times here on this channel. There have been numerous iterations and updates over the past couple years, from movies to television and from live action to animated. And now with the latest news breaking, it's perfect time to talk about Justice League Dark once again. Before we do that, let me say thank you for watching the channel, whether it's your first time here or you're back for more. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the content we upload just like this each and every week. Alright, let's jump into the video. The live action story of Justice League Dark actually goes back to 1982. There was a Swamp Thing film directed by Wes Craven, as well as its sequel, Return of Swamp Thing, in 1989, a much more campy version of it. Then in the 90s, the USA Network aired a Swamp Thing TV series, which was made by the same guy who made The Outer Limits. In 2005, John Constantine had a feature film starring Keanu Reeves. Then in 2011 and 2012, there was talk of Guillermo del Toro of Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, and Pacific Rim fame, and at one point Doug Liman working on a live-action Justice League Dark film. It ultimately didn't pan out, and we got word at 2016 San Diego Comic-Con that we would instead be getting an animated feature film. And so in 2017, Warner Animated released the Justice League Dark movie. At 2019's San Diego Comic-Con, 2020 is now canceled by the way, a sequel to the 2019 animated film was announced called Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which will come to home theater market in May of 2020, just a couple weeks as of this filming. In 2015, the Constantine TV series had been canceled, but we did have a Swamp Thing live-action TV series on the DC Universe streaming service, one season of it in 2019, and both of these characters are a part of the Justice League Dark team roster. In 2018, there was news as Warner Media figured out a new trajectory after Batman v Superman and Justice League didn't go as they planned, that there was talks of even Zatanna, along with Supergirl and Batgirl, getting their own series. It was a time of great flux on the film side of DC Warner, and that too was cast to the side. The Constantine actor, though, Matt Ryan, has also showed up on CW's Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and last season's Crisis on Infinite Earths event. He also lent his voice to Constantine, City of Demons, which does in fact take place in the same universe as the Justice League Dark animated films do. And now, Variety.com, along with a few other trades, are reporting that J.J. Abrams' company Bad Robot is developing a Justice League Dark television show for the soon-to-launch HBO Max streaming service. HBO Max has given Bad Robot a quote-unquote production commitment for this show, and a couple others as well. In early 2019, there was a bidding war in place for J.J. Abrams and his Bad Robot company as they moved away from Paramount Studios. They took offers from many media companies, and finally, in September 2019, J.J. and his wife, both owners of Bad Robot mind you, signed a 5-year overall deal with Warner Media for both film and TV, worth an estimated $250 million. And then at the beginning of 2020, it started to take shape. A deal was inked for both film and TV based on Justice League Dark. Bad Robot's head of motion pictures and Bad Robot's head of television were both taking meetings with talent reps to work on these two areas. And with an increased viability of streaming, especially during the global pandemic, the justification for big budget movie style production on streaming, where it's up to $100 million for a season, is a huge push for these companies. Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and the like are the wave of the future as more people move away from cable and towards these very lucrative OTT services. So Warner Media is looking to ramp up HBO Max, which launches very shortly, and we'll see the likes of the other DC properties, the likes of Green Lantern, Strange Adventures, Doom Patrol, DMZ, and now JLD will be made for the streamer. If you're not familiar with Justice League Dark yet, it's a team within the DC universe that focuses on the magical and the occult. They debuted in 2011 with the launch of DC Comics' New 52 campaign, and the team includes, among many others, Constantine, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Deadman, Madame Xanadu, Shade the Changing Man, and others who have rotated through over time like Black Orchid, Pandora, Dr. Mist. An industry insider, Mikey Sutton, said in March that this team for the Abrams property would consist of Shade the Changing Man, Swamp Thing, Deadman, Madame Xanadu, and Zatanna. Now that might not be an all-encompassing list, but that was what was known at that time. But that's the characters as a team. Swamp Thing first appeared in House of Secrets all the way back in the summer of 1971. Zatanna's debut was even earlier than that. Actually, in 1964, she showed up in a Hawkman comic book, but her father is as old as Superman himself. He first appeared in Action Comics #1 back in 1938. John Constantine showed up once Swamp Thing got his own series, and that was 1985's Saga of the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. Then you have Boston Brand, aka Deadman, who made his way into comic books with Strange Adventures issue 205 back in 1967. It's interesting that Strange Adventures is also getting a series on the same service. As of now, additional details surrounding Justice League Dark are being kept under wraps. However, it would be interesting if we do eventually learn characters like Adam Strange and Deadman will be crossover characters in a way to sort of create a shared universe with the HBO Max universe, as they'll surely be working with Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and even Jeff Johns. Hopefully, with the premature cancellation of the Swamp Thing series on DC Universe, that they can find a way to bring that show over as well, and continue with that character that they've already introduced, which means that would bring along a Madame Xanadu already, a Floronic Man, and even Phantom Stranger, Abby Arcane, Blue Devil if they wanted to go that route. They'd have some built-in character and backstory already. I'd really like to see Matt Ryan as Constantine and even Derek Mears as Swamp Thing stay on in their respective roles, but JJ's team may want a complete fresh start. Again, not many details to go on, but this would fall in line with the Sutton and LOTLB news for March, as well as what I'd like to see. So as you can see, the characters themselves have a long history in the worlds of DC. The team itself is nearly a decade old, and there have been numerous attempts to bring them to the screen, be they big or small, and be they live action or animated. This is indeed exciting news, as J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot have a powerhouse of films under their belts like Star Trek, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, The Rise of Skywalker, Cloverfield, Super 8, The Lost Series, Westworld, Overlord, Mission Impossible, and even that TV show Fringe. It's done quite a bit, although it's been somewhat divisive, I know, especially regarding the lens flare Kelvin timeline of Star Trek. But again, at this point, it's him as an EP via Bad Robot and not as a director. So keep that in mind if you're quote-unquote concerned about this movie, or on the flip side, if you're elated about it. JJ is EP, along with Ben Stevenson, who's their head of television. And Rachel Rutch is EVP of TV, and she'll be a co-EP executive producer as well. HBO Max is scheduled to launch in May of 2020 with a $14.99 per month subscription price. And release dates and production times, of course, are on hold, as it's still very early in this process, and most pre-production is on hold until the pandemic passes. However, they need to work on some script treatments first. But now it's your turn. Go ahead and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on this news, and we'll continue the conversation there. Until then, that's a wrap on this one, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can be one of the first to know when I upload videos just like this each and every week. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.